Today I'm talking about the Ultraboost 19 after 100 miles. 11.12 miles, 9 minutes, 27 seconds per mile, 144 beats per minute on average today. Legs are definitely starting to feel some of the accumulated fatigue, ramping up the mileage here as I get ready for the next marathon. But with today's miles, I was able to take the Ultraboost 19 over the 100 mile mark. And before I get into my detailed thoughts about this shoe after 100 miles, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that I bought with my own money. No one sent it to me. No one's paying me to make this video, and no one's paying me to wear the shoe. And no one's going to get a chance to preview any of this footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. Now the disclosures out of the way, let's talk about the Ultraboost 19. Now this is a shoe that I bought late. And I know this review is coming late. A lot of you have already moved on to the Ultraboost 20. But the reason I picked up the shoe in the first place was because after the Ultraboost 20 released, the Ultraboost 19 came in at a substantial discount. So I thought I'd give it a try, mainly because I'm just so curious about this shoe. It's a heavy shoe. Comes in at 11 ounces for a size 9 as the listed weight on this 10 millimeter drop shoe. And every time I picked it up, it just seemed so heavy in hand. 11 ounces is a big number. It's probably one of the heavier shoes that I've ever run in, but it also just feels heavy too. On foot, in hand, everything about it just seems so heavy. And that's because it's got so much boost in it. It's got 20% more boost than the iteration of Ultraboost before that. But I thought, you know what, with all that extra boost, it's got to be super cushy. It's got to be super soft to run in. So I thought I'd give it a try just to give my legs a little bit of a break for those higher mileage weeks. But it's not really what I got when I got into the shoe. You guys have heard me talk about the shoe in a couple of other videos. I think we've got like a weird mullet of a shoe here where it seems like when they added boost, it feels like they took boost out of the midfoot and forefoot where it used to be on previous models and shifted it all back and then added even some more in the heel. And so in the heel, it's got this weird sensation where it's heavy. I feel like I'm fighting it a little bit, and there's just almost too much boost in here, or there's so much boost that we've gotten past like the level of boost detectability. You could add more to it. I probably wouldn't feel any different, except for there's more weight. In the front though, because it seems that they've shifted the boost away from the midfoot, it feels like there's not enough, at least for an Ultraboost shoe. So for what I would think is a max cushion shoe, or a shoe that fits in this genre, it's not really helping me in the rear of the foot, and it's not really helping me in the forefoot. And so it's been really confusing to me. And for me, for the most part, the transition to get from the back of the foot to the front of the foot hasn't been all that smooth, even though it is, you know, like one piece of midsole foam. It just seems awkward, the transition from using all this extra boost in the back to getting to the front of the foot. It just never quite seemed right. The only places that I've been really enjoying this shoe are the places where I'm using kind of from the midfoot forward. So when I'm on the treadmill, that's a really great place for it. I think with the way, or like the angle of attack, even though it's a 10 millimeter shoe, if you told me this was a 14 millimeter shoe, I would totally believe you, just because it feels so drastic, the difference in height from the heel to the forefoot. And I think that's how it's trying to propel you forward. It doesn't have a rocker in it or anything like that, but what it does have is just a difference in just stack height. I wouldn't say it's a bad shoe. There are worse shoes that I run in, but it's not really giving me a max cushion kind of feel when I run in this shoe. And it's very heavy to be a daily trainer. So I think if anything, I think it's more of a really heavy daily trainer But overall, it's not my favorite Ultraboost shoe that I run in, and it's not my favorite Adidas shoe that I run in, and certainly not the favorite implementation of Boost that I've ever seen. But let me tell you about some of the things that I do really like. Some of the things that I do really like are Primeknit. I love Primeknit, in fact. It's one of my favorite materials to run in. It's just super soft. I love running in it. This winter's been pretty mild, so I've been able to run outside in the Primeknit, even though it is relatively well ventilated. So it's been a pleasure to run in that. There's no pull tab on this one, at least not on the back. This part is actually really stiff. You can grab on that, and there's a pull tab on the tongue. So if you're into that kind of thing, your foot slides into the booty construction of the shoe really nicely. Overall, super comfortable upper. Love what's going on the upper. On the outsole looks like it's hardly been run on at all. And part of it is probably because I've spent like a decent minority of this time in this shoe on the treadmill, so you're not going to see as much wear and tear. It's not going to be as hard on your shoes in that regard. But for the amount of time that I've spent outside on this shoe, the rubber just looks like it just hasn't been touched. There is a little bit of discoloration in the Boost, which is something that happens to Boost over time. The other thing, though, that I do really like that they've changed up in this year's the Ultraboost 19 compared to previous year's Ultraboost is this torsion system. And so what the torsion system does is it prevents the shoe from kind of like twisting too much. And with a material like Boost, even if you have a lot of it in there, it can get a little bit floppy and your foot could twist around a little bit more than might be ideal or even comfortable for you as you run. For this shoe, though, I haven't felt that at all. It's not so rigid that it feels like I'm running on like a platform of a shoe, but it does feel like it's keeping everything kind of all in line in the right ways, so that way things aren't getting too wobbly. So even though there is quite a bit of stackite here, I don't ever feel like it's an unstable shoe. So I do like the torsion system that they've redesigned for the Ultraboost 19. Ultimately, I'm not sure that this is my favorite shoe. I think I've probably made that pretty clear. But I do think that this is going to be a really great shoe for certain kinds of people. So people who are midfoot to heel strikers, I think you might find this shoe worth a shot. You might really enjoy running in this shoe if you're not spending as much time in your midfoot and up to the toes anyway. Then all this extra boost, that's who this shoe is for, because that's where all this boost is. The other kind of runner that I think this is going to be good for is really tall runners. So people that are putting a little bit more weight into the shoe will really appreciate that, even though it is a little bit heavier of a running shoe at 11 ounces for my size 9. It'll be more for the taller runners and their bigger feet, but there's going to be more padding for their larger frames. So I think that's another person or type of person that's really going to benefit from the Ultraboost 19. And right now you can still get tons of these at a variety of different colors. The different colors all cost different price points depending on, I guess, how many are left or how popular those colors are. So you'll have to kind of like click around if you're looking for a real bargain on these. I've also seen them much cheaper if you go away from the Adidas site. Other places have them for even cheaper as well. So a little bit of bargain hunting that I think you can find in this shoe. At $180, the list price, I find that the Ultraboost 19 is really hard for me to recommend. But if for a running shoe, if you fall into those two categories of midfoot to heel strikers or taller runners, and you can find it at a discounted price somewhere in like the $120 or less, I think this is a pretty good pickup for right now. If you have any other questions about the Ultraboost 19, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I'd love to talk to you about it a little bit more down there. Now, before I go, I want to talk about the new charity runner for this week. And this week, it's Ramon Bautista, who's going to be running the Boston Marathon and raising money for NORD, the National Organization for Rare Disorders, an organization that tries to put more awareness and funding towards disorders and diseases that might not get as much attention on their own. So I was very happy to donate $70 of my own money, and I'll post a link in the description in case you'd like to learn more. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video, and I will see you tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?